Are you an AUC student and wondering whether you are eligible for a research support grant and how to apply for one? This video will tell you exactly what you need to know. First, you have to go to the AUC website and click on Research, followed by Undergraduate Research. You will find the link to undergraduate support grants on the left. This page tells you all that you need to know about the entire process. This includes types of research acceptable, application deadlines, types of grants, and restrictions on grants. Let's start with the basics. This collapsible title defines research as original intellectual or creative contributions to the discipline. This can include research papers, original artwork, science innovations, and research-based solutions. It is encouraged for this research to be interdisciplinary, but single discipline research is also acceptable. Now, a grant is a fund that you apply for to support your research activity, but you must sign a legal contract about conditions of research performance. Then, a grant report is created when your research has been completed, which you submit through the same system that you applied to the grant through. But how do I know if I'm eligible to apply? First of all, you have to have good academic integrity standing with the Academic Integrity Committee of AUC. Secondly, you must be a full-time student enrolled in an undergraduate degree program. You also have to have completed 60 credits with a minimum GPA of 2.9 for all grant types, except for the research internship grant, which requires a 3.2 GPA or above. You can also be an alumni who is still within their first year of graduation, but you can only apply to travel grants to present your work abroad, and the travel period must be within 1 year of your graduation. Other full-time undergraduate students can apply to any type of grants. But what are the types of grants available? There are 5 types of grants, the first being the travel grant. This grant is a partial payment of travel expenses to conferences, academic competitions, and/or events. As you can see, it covers travel tickets, event registration fees, visa fees, accommodations, and health insurance. Individuals or groups are eligible for this grant. The second type of grant is the undergraduate research grant, undergraduate research internship grant. This is for individual students who receive an invitation from an institute, research center, university, or professor abroad for participation in a research internship during the summer. An important thing to know is that you cannot apply for this research internship grant for your final summer after graduation. You have to complete a semester at AUC after you complete this research internship grant. The third type of grant is the competition grant, which funds teams who are traveling to compete in any academic competition, such as case competitions, entrepreneurial competitions, science, arts, media, or writing competitions. The fourth type of grant is a community-based research and innovation grant, or CBRI. This funds research projects that work with an identified local community to address a need or problem. Now, while all applications require an abstract, for this grant specifically, the abstract has to answer these questions. Now, the fifth and final type of grant is the resource grant. This may assist with the resources needed for original research, entrepreneurship, or creative project, whether course-based or co-curricular, supervised by faculty research mentor. As you can see here, it awards more funding for interdisciplinary cooperation between teams, meaning students from different departments working together to come up with a research paper, short film, musical composition, visual arts display, etc. are rewarded more money. Now, An extremely important thing to keep in mind is that there are 5 grants per cycle. 5 grants per academic year. Which are these? This includes the summer grant cycle. Now for each cycle, there are certain deadlines. And if you pass a deadline of one cycle, your application is automatically transferred to be reviewed for the next cycle. Each cycle takes up to 2 months and an additional 12 to 15 days for the funds to be granted through a wire transfer to a bank account in the grant applicant's name. This means that students need to apply at least 2 months earlier to the date that they wish to receive the grant in hand, and factor this application review cycle into their planning to meet conference, competition, and event application deadlines. You are also not allowed to be reimbursed for a completed activity. This means that you cannot apply for a grant after you have completed your research. You can only apply before. Now that we know what types of grants there are, we need to know that there are several restrictions on grants. The most important one is that you can apply for a grant if you have already received one prior. However, those who haven't received one within the same academic year have priority. Another one is that you're only allowed 1 travel grant per year with a maximum of 2 travel grants per study period. You're also only allowed 1 research internship grant per study period, with the condition that you will continue studying at AUC after the summer internship, as we have mentioned. In other words, it cannot be during your final summer after graduation. A student cannot hold both a travel or competition grant and a research internship grant in the same cycle, and you can find out more about other restrictions on the page. Moving on to requirements for application, the 2 most important ones after the eligibility criteria are that you provide a recommendation letter from an AUC faculty research supervisor and secure an acceptance letter from the hosting institute. For the application itself, you must submit a title, abstract, and biography. And this is a link that will take you to the guidelines and examples on how to write a proper abstract and biography. The rest of the documents needed are listed here. If your application is missing 1 document, you will be given a grace period of a month and will be notified to complete it. However, if your application is missing more than 1 document, it will be automatically rejected. You also have to be on good academic standing with the Academic Integrity Committee. Once you've done all the requirements and checked for your eligibility, you can click here to begin the application process. The most important thing to keep in mind, as we mentioned, are the cycle deadlines, where each application takes up to 2 months to be reviewed and accepted, and about another 15 days for the funds to actually be granted through a wire transfer to a bank account in the grant applicant's name. Once you've completed your research, you must submit a grant report through the same application system that you've received the grant. And this part tells you details about the grant report. You can also place your grant awards on your co-curricular transcript once it is completed. Best of luck on your research.